Happy Thanksgiving. This is meant for Donald Trump. I want to talk to him about the Hammonds who are in prison in California, San Pedro, California. They were sent there January 4th. They had already served a year. Steve Hammond had already served a year in prison, and Dwight Hammond had already served 3 months in prison. A judge had sentenced them both to prison. They had served and they got out, and they were returned to prison. The case was 2 backburns that they put on their property, and the prosecutors wanted to prosecute them under the terrorist statute, which carried a minimum of 5-year sentence. The judge in this case, when he made his decision, he basically set aside what the prosecution wanted to do throughout the terrorist statute and sentenced them according to the BLM statute that was on their land there in French Glen, there south of Burns, Oregon. They went back to prison January 4th. They've been there almost a year. They need to be pardoned and returned to their families. They are not with their families this Thanksgiving, and that brought the Bundys to Burns a year ago. And they also, the first trial, those that were brought up on charges were found not guilty. There's 7 more people that are going to be, prosecution's deciding whether they're going to move forward with those cases in February, and they have till December 12th to make a decision and get that to the judge by December 14th, whether they're going to go forth with this trial or not. All these folks need to be just released from prison. The Hammonds need to be pardoned, and the trial of the Bundys and these other 7 members here in Oregon just need to be dropped. The federal government is overstepping their bounds when it comes to BLM, and they really need justice. And these guys are being politically persecuted because of their beliefs that the BLM is overreaching. The judge in this case made this statement: if I sentenced the Hammonds to jail for 5 years, that would shock the conscience. Basically, the judge said they burned 140 acres, about $100 with a scrub brush. They burned 140 acres of land. If I sent them to jail for 5 years, that would be cruel, an unusual punishment, and it would shock the conscience. And the judge made his decision to send Steve to jail for a year and Dwight to jail for 3 months. They've already served that time. Like I said, January 4th, they had to turn themselves over to the federal marshals, and they're in San Pedro, California right now in the prison down there, having to serve the rest of a 5-year term. President-elect Trump, when you come into office, you need to pardon Dwight Hammond and Steve Hammond and release the Bundys from prison. The Bundys in Nevada, from the 2014 case, the BLM seized their cattle, and these patriots showed up to get their cattle back, and the sheriff backed up the Bundys, and the BLM backed down and released their cattle. They should not be up on charges here. The BLM does not have the authority to manage property within the states. All these lands within the states need to be considered state lands, state public lands, and they should be managed by the counties in which they reside. That's how it should be done in Oregon. So, happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and President-elect Trump, free these folks. And I hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. And to the Bundys out there and the Finnecums, Lavoy Finnecum was killed, and these guys have now been found not guilty. So they really overstepped their bound and killed a patriot who should have never happened. So, President-elect Trump, we are counting on you to get this corrected, pardoned, release these political prisoners, and put us back on track in America and rein in the federal government. The Department of Interior, the BLM, the U.S. Forest Service, the Fish and Wildlife Department, all these guys are armed to the teeth, and they are trampling on the rights of the people within the states, and we need it to stop. But once again, have a great Thanksgiving, and to the Bundys that are out there, fathers, my heart goes out to you, and to Jeanette Finicum, who's without her husband, and your kids that are without your father, my heart goes out to you. So, but everybody out there, have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.